summer vacation to school can be kind of tough. So our next guest is sharing how we can make sure our families are all healthy, not only for back to school, but all year long. Please welcome back Dr. Nita Landry.
Welcome back.
Have you. And of course, Ken is joining us too.
I have questions.
We all have little ones, so we all have questions. Yes. So when we're talking about health, right, for not only our children, but our families, it's not just about physical health, right? It really is about mental health too.
Yes, absolutely. You want to be a role model for your kids, be a positive role model, and check in with them and ask them if they have any concerns about going back to school. And make sure you're checking in on their self-esteem too. That can be a huge issue. You know, there was a study, and with this study, there was a self-esteem inventory. What they found was that 80% of kids going into the first grade had a high score on the inventory. By the time kids got to 5th grade, that dropped to 20%. And by the time they were graduating from high school, only 5% of kids had a high score on that self-esteem inventory.
Oh, that's awful.
I know, I agree. So it's important that you show your kids a lot of love and affection, give them positive reinforcement. And also remember that you are teaching by example. So be careful what you're saying, be careful about what you're doing. For instance, if you are always talking about yourself in a negative manner, if you're like, oh my gosh, I hate my thighs, you know what? You're teaching your kids negative behavior. You're increasing the probability that they will start looking in the mirror and saying, oh my gosh, what do I hate about myself?
And being critical. Oh,
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that's so important. I mean, I feel like that's really at the top of the list. Also at the top of the list is getting enough sleep. And that's something that you know, just not just for kids, but for adults as well, for parents. But it's something that we can have a lot of control over. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Alexandra's sleep schedule kind of was thrown out of the window when we went to Greece this summer.
My gosh, on vacation.
Yeah, we were on vacation. I think that happens with a lot of kids and parents over the summer because the kids are out there doing more things. So I have had to suffer the consequences upon reentry because trying to get her back into that sleep schedule has been difficult. But it's super important for kids, especially young ones, to get enough sleep so that they can perform better the next day, correct?
Yes. Kids who don't get enough sleep can't concentrate as well. And as a result, they're not going to learn as much when they get to school. You really want to make sure that they are getting enough sleep. And when we talk about the optimal amount of sleep, then when we're looking at younger kids, most younger kids will need between 9 and 12 hours of sleep each night. Wow, 9 and 12 for younger kids.
Wow.
Now, adolescents between 13 and 18 years of age need between 8 and 10 hours of sleep each night. And it's really good.
Seems like a lot.
And can that be averaged over the week, or it should be every night?
Well, you want to be pretty consistent because, you know, when you're talking about bedtime, they'll start to try to negotiate with you. They'll say, well, if I sleep 3 hours tonight, can I sleep 10 hours? You want to make it pretty consistent. And finding that consistent bedtime and sticking with it is going to be key, right? Because they will fight back, but stay strong, and have that consistent bedtime. And also, when we're talking about younger kids, having just a pre-bedtime routine can really be helpful. For instance, with younger kids, maybe you'll take a bath, then read a book with them, tuck them in, and tell them good night. You're teaching them that when you do those things with them, that means it's time to go to sleep.
What about kids between the ages of 25 and 45? How much sleep do they need?
Well, over 18, 7 hours of sleep or more. You know, I feel you.
When's the last time you got 10 hours of sleep?
Oh, physically can't do it.
You can't, or you haven't been given the opportunity to do it.
You have 3 kids.
No opportunity.
No opportunity.
But even when I get the opportunity now, I can't do it. But anyway, Ken, I know you have a question.
Right, so I have a question. We have something new that's come on the table. So Labor Day weekend, we went away for the weekend. We spent the night at a friend's house who have a dog. Coco sort of like was really into the dog. They hung out as a long-haired dog. It was also fall, so there was lots of like things going to seed. The next morning on the way to our weekend place, runny nose, itchy eyes, sneezing. So we feel that she is allergic. We told her she might be allergic to dogs. She burst into tears. Burst. And I was like, no, we don't know that yet. We don't. So we spoke earlier. You said I need to go and have that checked by a professional on that.
Yes.
But my question is, when we figure out what it is, how do we keep her from having those symptoms in school? I don't want to put her on a bunch of Benadryl antihistamines and have her be sleepy. Like, what does one do to deal with allergies?
Well, you want to go to your pediatrician, and that's going to be the best thing because, like we talked about before, that's how you're going to figure out exactly what your child is allergic to. Because we don't want her to be devastated because you take all the dogs away from her when really she's not
It's hay
allergic to
fever.
all the dogs,
Right.
when really it's something else. So the only way to determine what your child is allergic to is to go to a physician and really have them do the testing to see exactly what it is. And once you figure out what it is, then they can determine, you know, the best treatment course for your child.
And then how do I deal with it in school, like to keep her from having those reactions in the classroom?
It's important that you have a conversation with the teacher or the principal so you can determine like if they can do certain things at school. For example, maybe they can if it's seasonal allergies, maybe they can close the windows when there's a lot of pollen outside. Or maybe they can ask the lawn crew not to mow the grass when the kids are actually at school. So a lot of different things they can do. But if your child has allergies, it's important to ask the school what resources they have on the campus if your child has some type of flare-up at school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. This is all such great information, not only for the kiddos, but for us too, right? Like to keep all of us healthy. For more from Dr. Nita, you can visit her social media at Dr. Nita Landry. And for more info, visit hallmarkchannel.com.